take me back to the day. It was, I guess, a normal weekend for you.
Yeah.
The weekend your mom went missing. Tell me what you were doing and what happened.
Well, I had given Mike for Christmas a boys' trip to go play tennis, and so he had been gone for the weekend. So I took my kids actually to Carson's. So we had a beautiful, fun night together, and then I came home, and really it just got home at the same time that Mike came home, and we were just saying hi, putting down our stuff, and the kids were running around. And my sister called me, and I said, "Is everything okay?" And she said, "No." She said, "Mom's missing." And I said, "What?
Yeah.
What are you talking about?" She said, "She's gone." And she was in a panic. I was in a panic. I'm like, "Call 911.
Yeah.
She's like, "I did. We've called them. They're here." And we thought that she must have had like some kind of medical episode in the night, and that somehow, the paramedics had come because the back doors were propped open, and that didn't make any sense. We thought maybe they came and there was a stretcher and they took her out the back. But her phone was there and her purse was there and all her things. And it just didn't make any sense. So, Annie and Tommy had already called all the hospitals, but then I'm like, I'm going to call the hospital. So then I started calling the hospitals, and the police were there and talking to her at the same time, and it was just chaos and disbelief.
Within hours, Savannah was making the long journey home to Tucson.
You saw Annie and Cam when you got to their house. Tell me about that moment.
Just disbelief and hugging each other, and I think we were on the phone with the sheriff and trying to, really make clear from the very early moments, Annie and Tommy were saying this isn't that case that you are used to where someone wanders off. She can't wander off. My mom, she was in tremendous pain. Her back was very bad. She was trying to, on a good day, she could walk down to the mailbox and get the mail, but most days not. So there was no wander off. And the doors were propped open.
Yeah.
And there was blood on the front doorstep. And the Ring camera had been yanked off.
Yeah.
And so we were saying, this is...
Do something.
This is not okay.
Yeah.
This isn't... Something is very wrong here.
Yeah. Did you guys talk about what possibly could have happened? Like, what could have happened? What went down? Did you...
I think my brother... my siblings are so amazing. My brother, he spent his career in the military and worked in intelligence, and is a fighter pilot, and is brilliant, and he saw very clearly right away what this was. Yeah. And even on the phone, when I called him, he knew.
He knew.
And he said, "I think she's been kidnapped for ransom." And I said,
Yeah.
"What? Yeah. Well, why? What?" And then, it sounds so... Like, how dumb could I be? But I didn't want to believe. I just said, "Do you think because of me?" And he said, "I'm sorry, sweetie, but yeah, maybe." But I knew that.
You did?
I hope not. We still don't know. Honestly, we don't know anything.
No.
We don't know anything. So I don't know that it's because she's my mom and somebody thought, "Oh, that girl, that lady has money. We can make a quick buck." That would make sense, but we don't know. But yeah, that's probably... Which is too much to bear. to think that I brought this to her bedside, that it's because of me. And I just say, I'm so sorry, Mommy. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry to my sister and my brother and my kids and my nephew and Tommy and my brother-in-law. I'm like, so sorry. I'm so sorry. If it is me, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. We want to thank all of you for the prayers for our beloved mom.
In the initial days, you and your sister and brother sat together. In all the despair, you sat and managed to think of words to say. How were you able to do that in that moment?
Well, my siblings are amazing. And we are a unit. And I talked about how brilliant my brother is, but my sister is equally brilliant and also has special powers of intuition and faith and language and depth and heart. And I feel like we came together with all these beautiful gifts that came from our mom and dad and from God. And somehow together we did our best to come up with the words to say. And I haven't posted one thing or said one thing that the three of us haven't decided together. It is surreal. It's, how is it possible that we are having to make a video speaking to a kidnapper who took an 84-year-old woman in the dead of night in her pajamas with no shoes, without her medicine, this little person, and to beg for mercy.
In the days that followed, multiple notes demanding payment were sent to various media outlets.
The ransom notes or ransom requests came. Did you believe those to be real?
There are a lot of different notes, I think, that came. And I think most of them, it's my understanding, are not real. And I didn't see them. But, you know, a person that would send a fake ransom note really has to look deeply at themselves.
Yeah.
To a family in pain. But I believe the two notes that we received, that we responded to, I tend to believe those are real.
Really? When the Ring camera video surfaced and you could see who that person was, just tell me what you thought when you saw those images of the person who took your mother.
I mean, it's just absolutely terrifying.
Yeah.
It's just totally terrifying. And I can't imagine that that is who she saw standing over her bed.
Yeah.
I can't. It's too much.
Yeah.
And I'm glad and grateful to the investigators and the technology companies that were able to find that video. So I hope, at least with people of good heart and compassion, stop the irresponsible and cruel speculation that had started to swirl.
Let's talk about that for a minute.
I'm glad that people saw.
Yeah.
what came to our door.
Yeah. When you talk about the cruel speculation, the whispers, the innuendo that it was somebody in your family, how did you weather that?
It's unbearable.
Yeah.
And it piles pain upon pain. There are no words. There are no words. I don't understand. I'll never understand. And no one took better care of my mom than my sister and brother-in-law. And no one protected my mom more than my brother. And we love her, and she is our shining light. She's our matriarch. She's all we have.
Savannah and her family stayed together in Arizona for weeks as the media coverage grew more intense.
We had to move houses many times because people came, and not everyone is respectful, unfortunately. You know? And there was a night we had to leave in the dark in the desert, holding hands, me and my sister and brother and I, get into a car waiting for us because the people outside were closing in. So we found a place that was safe, and then we couldn't really leave too much. So like those days are a blur.
Yeah.
Crying and praying.
How did your family feel about the way the investigation was conducted?
Well, it's still going.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
people have worked tirelessly. And we see that. But we need answers. We cannot be at peace without knowing. And someone can do the right thing. And it is never too late to do the right thing. And our hearts are focused on that.
Yesterday, that's Saturday, at around 8 a.m., someone walking along the canal near Indian Bend and Hayden Roads in Scottsdale, Arizona, found a body. It's not Nancy Guthrie. Also, people have been speculating that Travis Reynolds may have kidnapped Nancy Guthrie.
Please state your name, sir.
Travis David Reynolds.
Great. Mr. Reynolds, this is the time for your initial appearance. You were here this morning on charges of kidnapping. That is a felony offense. You have the right to remain.
And that is him. Now, I'm sure many of you are already aware of this, but for those of you who aren't, according to kcbd.com, an interim complaint states that Reynolds was on duty and was transporting a woman to the Pima County Jail when he commented on her appearance, calling her hot. Now, let me ask you, do you think he found Nancy hot as well? According to the complaint, the woman said that Reynolds then showed her sexually explicit videos. The woman said that she asked to be taken inside the jail, but Reynolds refused. And at this point, it became a kidnapping, him not taking her to the jail. Again, do you think he found Nancy sexually attractive as well? Reynolds stated that he may or may not have been involved in showing the woman a video of sexual acts, according to the complaint. He also stated that he may or may not have been involved in the discussion of having sex at a hotel. Now, we don't have the woman that is referring to, we don't have a picture of her, but if you imagine that we did, and you put that picture side by side with Nancy, do you think there'd be any difference between the two? Do you think you'd notice something different between the picture of this woman that he harassed, I guess, and Nancy? Now, I think there were also references to MILF and other graphic porn-related phrases. So you can see that Reynolds was primarily interested in sex. That's his motive. Also, he didn't kidnap this woman. She was already in his custody. He was simply supposed to take her somewhere as part of his duty as an officer. And as soon as he deviated from that, technically it became a kidnapping. So there's no question that he went to someone's home and did any of what we saw in the Nancy Guthrie case. This should be obvious within a minute of familiarizing oneself of this case. But I see that many made a meal of this and decided that because Travis kidnapped a woman, that's enough evidence. And, Nancy Guthrie's kidnapper has been found. And I see that certain people, even people from the FBI, actually treated this in a serious way, treated this as something worth discussing. And you guys wonder why we are where we are in terms of the war with Iran right now. If the quality of the information is so poor, and if the people who tell you meaningless information actually mean something, and you believe them, no wonder eventually we're going to find ourselves in a very serious situation that we don't know how to think about and we can't seem to understand. In other words, if we do this regularly in other issues which are not necessarily of vital importance, right? True crime may not affect you personally, but it certainly is affecting the way you think about the world. And if you are trained to think about the world in such a casual, ineffective way, it's going to start to affect the way the real world affects you. And I'm going to come back to that. I think it's an important subject. Now, what I'm seeing, especially in this case, the Nancy Guthrie case, is a lot of people who don't seem to know how to think. They don't think in a structured way. They don't think in a calm way. They don't think in a logical way. They think in impulsive fragments. They jump from one thing to the next. And what they believe trumps the logic and congruency of the information itself. You might say, what is wrong with that? Well, what happens when you take that into the real world? By the way, being endlessly exposed to social media, clicking and scrolling instead of reading and thinking and absorbing and having a system in terms of your thinking in a systematic way, being able to think quietly and calmly, which is often associated with reading, not watching, that leads to this fragmented, triggered state of mind. And again, if your thinking is fragmented and if your thinking is triggered constantly, and if a lot of your thinking is really just other people's thoughts that you are just observing and absorbing, then eventually you're going to find yourself in a situation you cannot get out of because you went into it without thinking. What happened was your reptilian brain was trained to react. It was reacting on repeat while your cognitive brain has been in a coma. And I was driving earlier today, and if you're driving and you're in a daydream, circumstances can change in front of you where the next thing you're in a situation that you need to respond to, but you're not thinking. And you've got to come out of that state. And if you don't come out of that state, it can be a disaster. And that's just in terms of a driving scenario.